have here? We got Yahya Sinwar has been found and eliminated. The AP has some information here. So, Yahya Sinwar is an individual who leads or led the very bad group of Hamas. And apparently, Israel says that he's been taken out. We got an article by the AP. Today is October 17th, 2024. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's get some more information on this. So it reads, Israel says that it has taken Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. This is a picture of the individual here. These are all the Gazan folks here. It's insane. I'm hearing that there's been starvation. I was keeping up with it. I think like the first month, the first couple weeks when they turned the water off and everything like that. The first couple days, like they weren't. It's just insane. To be at that point, to see where these folks are at now, is heartbreaking. We got the Strip, Israel, Ramallah, right? Tel Aviv, Golan Heights, right? We got Lebanon up there. They're pushing people into Egypt and everything like that. It's insane. In Gaza City. In southern Lebanon. Northern Israel. That's insane. These pictures are crazy. All right. Jerusalem. The AP goes, Israeli forces in Gaza took out Hamas top leader Yahya Sinwar, a chief architect of last year's attack on Israel that sparked the war. The military said Thursday troops appeared to have run across him unknowingly in a battle. Wow. Only to discover afterwards that a body in the rubble was Israel's most wanted man. Wow. Israeli leaders celebrated his falling as a settling of scores just over a year after Hamas-led militants surged out of Gaza into southern Israel in an attack that stunned the country. They also presented it as a moment for Hamas to surrender and release some 100 hostages it still holds captive. Still, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, our war has not yet ended. Man, that's wild. Besides seeking the release of hostages, Netanyahu has said Israel must keep long-term control over to Gaza to ensure Hamas. Wait. Netanyahu has said Israel must keep long-term control over Gaza to ensure Hamas does not rearm. Well, that doesn't sound convenient for the people of Gaza, huh? Or Palestine. Opening the possibility of continued fighting. For Hamas, Sinwar's death is a crippling blow, but it has continually proven resilient during the war. There was no immediate confirmation from Hamas or Sinwar's death. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant addressed Hamas fighters, saying, "It is time to go out, release the hostages, raise your hands, and surrender." That's insane. We gotta get these kids food, man. U.S. long-range B-2 stealth bombers target underground bunkers of Yemen. These rebels. That's crazy. They're getting B-2 bombers on fulls out there in Yemen. That's wild. President Joe Biden called Sinwar's death in a good day for Israel, for the United States, and for the world, comparing it to the feeling in the U.S. after the taking out of OSBL. This guy, he said he would talk with Netanyahu to discuss the pathway for bringing the hostages home to their families and for ending this war once and for all. Sinwar has been Hamas' top leader inside the Gaza Strip for years, closely connected to its military wing while dramatically building up its capabilities. He was elevated to Hamas' highest spot in July over his predecessor, Ismail Haniyeh. It was just recently. It's crazy. All these fools. This was taken out in an apparent Israeli strike in the Iranian capital, Tehran. Yeah, they got that dude in Iran. It's insane. In the past months, Israel has eliminated a string of senior figures from Hamas and Lebanon's Hezbollah with airstrikes. Israel has claimed to have taken out the head of Hamas military wing, Mohammed Diaf, in an airstrike, but the group has said he survived. But in Sinwar's case, troops found him by chance. So they actually confirmed that they really did get that. That's insane. That's a terrible day. I did a whole video for that. I still have weird visions of watching some of the stuff on Twitter of what they were doing to people there. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. I don't have any ties to that land out there or to those people out there, but it's still so sad and unfortunate. We continue. Engaged in combat. So, Israeli military officials said that Sinwar engaged in combat with Israeli troops operating in Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah, which is what I heard he was at like earlier this year, and they were making the push for Rafah to go find him, and they never found him, to my understanding. So now, after all of this, they actually find this dude. He's over there like in broad daylight fighting troops, Israeli troops. That's interesting. I don't know. I'm just trying to put myself in his perspective here. Like, is he doing that? Like, hey, I'm going to war, blah blah blah, because like I'm commanding these folks, or is it like, was he being moved somewhere and somehow he got spotted and then he had to fight? Or it's just the whole context of interesting. The army, was it the Israeli troops operating in Gaza's southernmost city of Rafah and was spotted running into a building. So he had just got spotted, right? They're just doing patrols. They're just operating. And then all of a sudden, this dude, he's just walking out and they just turn and see this dude running into a building. That's crazy. The army struck the building with tank fire. Wow. The army had suspected a number of top Hamas officials, including Sinwar, were in the vicinity, but Sinwar was not the target of the day's specific operations. Okay. Said the official, speaking on condition of anonymity under military briefing rules. Visiting a site of the destruction Israel's army chief Herzi Halevi said that while the military had conducted, quote, many special operations in this war where we had excellent information, here we didn't have that. And the response was very, very strong. Photos circulating online showed the body of a man resembling Sinwar with a gaping head wound. Oh, wow. Dressed in a military style vest, half buried in the rubble of a destroyed building. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. The security official confirmed that the photos were taken by Israeli security officials at the scene. The official spoke on condition of anonymity because of the ongoing investigation. The military said 3 militants were taken out in the operation. Police said one of them was confirmed as Sinwar by dental records and fingerprints. Wow. And DNA tests were ongoing. Sinwar was imprisoned by Israel from the late 1980s until 2011. So they have all this stuff already on him. So they could just match it up. That's wild. During that time, and he underwent treatment for brain cancer. Yeah, so they got everything. They got everything on you, dog. Everything. All they need is your body, bruh. They just line you up. Leaving Israeli authorities with extensive medical records. Netanyahu said Israel had settled its account with the man behind the October 7th attack, but he added, today evil has suffered a heavy blow, but the task before us is not yet complete. He said it was an important moment in the war to bring home the hostages and that anyone in Hamas who surrendered weapons and assisted with hostages return would be allowed to leave Gaza safely. Leave Gaza safely, and then go where? Like, what's the guarantee? I mean, like, whatever, man. Whatever. It's not me. I don't have to worry about that stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm not working for these people, so I'm not working for these people, is what I'm saying. So I don't need to know about if they're gonna get safety beyond Gaza. Like, if they're working for Israel at that point to turn over a new leaf, I wish them well. But I mean, it's just I'm very curious. I would love to know more about the context of leaving Gaza safely for those people. What do I care? Israel launched its campaign to Gaza to eliminate Hamas after the militants stormed into southern Israel on October 7, 2023, taking out some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, and abducting around 250 others. Some 100 captives are still inside Gaza. About a third of them are believed to be dead. Wow. Israel's offensive has taken out 42,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza's health ministry. It does not differentiate between civilians and combatants, but says women and children make up little more than half of the fatalities. On Thursday, an Israeli strike hit a school sheltering displaced Palestinians, taking at least 28 people, according to Gaza's health ministry. Faris Abu Hamza, head of the Gaza Health Ministry's emergency unit in the north, said that the dead, or the folks not alive, included a woman and 4 children, correcting an earlier report of 5 children. He said dozens of people were wounded. The Israeli military said it targeted a command center run by Hamas and Islamic Jihad inside the school. It provided a list of around a dozen names of people it identified as militants who were present when the strike was called in. it was not immediately possible to verify the names. Israel has repeatedly struck 10 camps and schools sheltering displaced people in Gaza. The Israeli military says it carries out precise strikes on militants and tries to avoid harming civilians, but its strikes often take out women and children. This is by Sami Magdi, reported from Cairo AP. I leave this link for this article by the AP saying that Israel says it has taken out the Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in Gaza. I'll leave that in the description below. Wow. Let's see if we can get some footage on that. And then we'll wrap that up. This is CNN. Let's see what's going on here.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We begin this afternoon with breaking news. Moments ago, Israel confirming that the leader of Hamas and October 7th mastermind Yahya Sinwar is dead.
We have CNN's Jeremy Diamond and Alex Marquardt with the latest. Let's first go to Jeremy in Jerusalem for us. Tell us what you know about the confirmation, Jeremy.
Well, Boris, this is an earth-shattering announcement from the Israeli military confirming that Yahya Sinwar, Hamas's leader, the mastermind of the October 7th attacks, has indeed been killed by the Israeli military in Gaza. His body has now been brought back to Israel, and the DNA testing confirming beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was indeed Sinwar. The Israeli military is also providing new details about how and when he was killed, saying that he was actually killed yesterday during military operations in the Gaza Strip. And we have learned, of course, from our sources as well, that this was not an intelligence-driven special operation that resulted in Sinwar being killed. Instead, it appears that infantry soldiers came upon a group of 3 militants in Gaza and fired a tank shell at them. And ultimately, when they went and found the bodies in the rubble, they realized that one of them resembled Yahya Sinwar. That then triggered a set of alarm bells in senior ranks of the Israeli military and the Israeli government, and ultimately triggering the confirmation that it was indeed him. There was initially confirmation via dental records, and that was followed up by multiple DNA tests that ultimately gave the Israeli government and its military the confirmation to a confidence level necessary to be able to now announce this publicly. They are also saying that it was soldiers in Israel's 828th Brigade, that is an infantry brigade responsible actually for training other infantry soldiers, that was operating in Gaza, that successfully killed Sinwar. We are already seeing in Gaza a mixed reaction from the population there, some expressing sadness and shock at his death, but others very much celebrating it and hoping that Sinwar's death will accelerate the end of the war in Gaza. And that is indeed now the question, whether or not Sinwar's killing gives the Israeli Prime Minister the opportunity to present a picture of victory in Israel, to be able to move towards ending the war and perhaps even reaching a deal to free the hostages as well. But so much uncertainty about who might succeed Yahya Sinwar at this point, whether or not there is an immediate successor, or whether instead we will see chaos in Hamas's ranks. But without a doubt, this is an enormous moment in this region, just over a year after Sinwar launched this October 7th attack that then triggered this deadly war in Gaza. The Israeli military now confirming that Yahya Sinwar has been killed.
Jeremy, thank you. And we should say that CNN has now obtained, and I do want to warn our viewers, this is a graphic image, just so you have a chance to turn away if you need to here. CNN has obtained a verified picture of Sinwar's body. You can see the face there blurred out, which certainly does spare some of the graphic nature, I will say, of this photo. But this is a picture of that rubble that Jeremy was describing, where the infantry fired a shell at this building and in this collapse found bodies of militants, including one that resembled Sinwar and was later verified to be Sinwar. Alex Marquardt, bringing you into this, tell us more about Sinwar, who has not been seen since the war began more than a year ago, was thought to have been constantly on the move.
I just think it's remarkable how this all unfolded. We've seen these huge operations to go after other Hamas leaders or to try to rescue Israeli hostages. This seemed like it was luck that they stumbled across Sinwar, not in a tunnel, not surrounded by hostages as we thought he was, according to U.S. and intelligence officials. He was out in the open with only two others. We believe that photo is remarkable, and it really speaks to how this unfolded in that they didn't know immediately that this was Yahya Sinwar. So from what we understand, they fired that tank shell into the building, but it was only today with a drone that they started getting indications that this could be him and went in to look, and then were able to confirm through DNA testing that this was indeed him. I've seen that image and other images. I can tell you that while they're very, very gory, it was immediately apparent that this was very, very likely Sinwar. You could tell that he had a strong resemblance to all the photos that we have seen with Sinwar. But again, just remarkable to see that this unfolded. We believe in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, and that was the belief that he was in or around Khan Yunis, where he's from, in a tunnel, possibly surrounded by hostages. He may have been farther south than that, and he was moving around with a relatively light footprint. In moving with just two other people, he wouldn't there wouldn't have been a lot of attention. It would have been far less easy to spot. But the U.S. has been helping with the intelligence to try to hunt him down, to try to find him, and he has been very, very careful. It's believed that he was not using electronic devices. It's believed that he was spending most of his time underground. What appears to have happened now is that the Israeli military came upon him and managed to eliminate the most wanted man that Israel has been chasing for the past year.
Potentially with huge ramifications for this conflict. Alex, Jeremy, please stand by. We should let you know that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to speak in just moments. This, as demonstrators are now, we understand, at Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, demonstrating and reacting to this news. We'll, of course, bring you Netanyahu's remarks as they happen. I want to expand the conversation now with retired Naval Commander Kirk Lippold. Also with us is Barak Ravid. He's a CNN political and global affairs analyst. Barak, first to you, what are you learning about the process of confirming Sinwar's death and how he was killed?
Well, the process was made by both the Israeli police, their forensics team, and pathologists who examined Sinwar's body. And there were three different tests. One was to examine the photographs of Sinwar's teeth, then a fingerprint test, and then a DNA test. And just minutes ago, all three were confirmed, and the Israelis announced that it was indeed Sinwar.
And Commander, we've been talking about what this means then. According to our reporting, U.S. officials have long looked at Sinwar's death as one of the best chances of this war coming to an end. How do you see it?
I think it's great news. Number one, I would say that timing in life is everything, which in reality, when you look at, you've got a training battalion versus frontline special operators, and yet the training battalion is the one that caught him in the open and killed him, really speaks to the readiness across the entire Israeli Defense Force, which means they are prepared, they are at war, and they're ready to react on a moment's notice to hunt down and kill these terrorists no matter where they are, from the top level leadership like Sinwar down to the regular foot soldiers that continue to this fight. I think the next step you're going to see happen is this is where the Israeli intelligence is really going to kick in. Because what you're going to see is not only did they catch him out in the open, but then the real question is, where did he come from? And where was he headed to that he would have such a light footprint out in the open trying to avoid things when in fact everything we have learned would indicate that he had surrounded himself by those hostages as a kind of human shield and protection. That's not there. So now we have to look beyond the immediate death of Sinwar.
Yeah, those are all good questions. I do wonder, Barak, internally from the Israeli perspective, clearly U.S. officials may be, I'd say, a little bit hopefully looking at this as an opportunity. Is that how it's viewed internally in Israel, that this could lead to a better chance at a hostage ceasefire deal?
Definitely. And what I hear from Prime Minister Netanyahu's closest aides is that they say that now a window of opportunity is open for either getting more hostages out in the military operation because, Hamas is in disarray, or now using this blow that Hamas suffered to get the hostage deal that has been sort of in the freezer for the last 2 months. And one of Netanyahu's aides told me that the prime minister's main focus right now is hostages, hostages, hostages. And he's going to try and push for some sort of a both deal or military operation to get them out.
Well, this is a Fox News alert. Reuters is now reporting that Israel's foreign minister has just confirmed the death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar was responsible and the mastermind between the vicious October 7th attack. That was the deadliest attack on Jews since the Holocaust. And Reuters is reporting that Israeli officials who were analyzing his dental records, that he is in fact dead. We go to Trey Yingst in Haifa, Israel, with more on this developing story. Trey.
Yeah, guys, good afternoon. According to reports, the leader of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar, is dead. We cannot independently confirm this, and I'm going to tell you why. There are two things ongoing at the moment. Israeli officials are using dental records, and they are using DNA to try to match Yahya Sinwar's DNA to DNA the Israelis have in their file. The dental records match, but we are waiting to report until the DNA test comes back, just given how high profile this figure is. But again, according to reports attributed to Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz, Yahya Sinwar is dead. This follows an Israeli operation in southern Gaza today, reportedly in the city of Rafah, Gaza's third largest city that sits next to the Egyptian border. This was not a planned intelligence operation, according to officials, but rather a ground patrol that intercepted movement in southern Gaza. Ultimately, Israeli forces reportedly fired on that movement, and among the cell of Hamas militants was the leader, Yahya Sinwar. Now, Sinwar is a man who has been at the top of the Israeli target list since October 7th. He is one of three masterminds behind the massacre, along with Mohammed Def, a man who was killed in an Israeli airstrike earlier this year, and Ismail Haniyeh, a man who was killed in an explosion in the Iranian capital of Tehran over the summer. So now that this is confirmed, the three masterminds behind the massacre are dead. Now, Sinwar spent 22 years in an Israeli prison. He was released back in 2011 as part of a prisoner swap deal for one single Israeli soldier, Gilad Shalit. Shalit was exchanged for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. Now, when Sinwar went back to Gaza, he was appointed to a defense minister level position among Hamas's Al-Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, and then ultimately later took over as the leader of Hamas inside Gaza. The last time that I saw Sinwar was in 2021. The month was May, and he was giving a rally where an infamous photo of him was taken holding a Palestinian child who was dressed as a member of the Al-Qassam brigades. Sinwar is someone who has devoted his life to killing Israelis, despite the fact that the Israelis actually saved his life doing brain surgery on him in the early 2000s while he was still in prison. And following the October 7th massacre, he had been hiding in the tunnel network beneath Gaza. Some of the Israeli hostages who were released as part of the November ceasefire deal back in 2023 reported meeting him in the tunnels beneath Gaza City. And so this is significant news and an indication that the Israelis will continue to pick off the remaining Hamas leaders that exist still inside Gaza. They have destroyed the battalions within the Gaza Strip, but the question remains, what does this mean for the remaining Israeli hostages inside Gaza? 101 of them are there. Around half of them are estimated to be alive, and Israeli sources are texting now. They are talking about this news that is taking place. We do expect to hear from Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu later tonight, Israel time. And the Israelis, according to this source, are in communication with their American counterparts to discuss the operation that took place today. Again, according to our reporting, this was not a planned operation, but rather one that took place after movement was identified inside the Gaza Strip. Again, the latest information that we have attributable to reports, we are waiting for DNA evidence, is that Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is dead.